I'm Jared Taylor with American Renaissance. This time it was Milwaukee's turn to burn. It was the usual story. Police kill a black criminal and blacks go on the rampage, but with a few differences. It was a black officer who did the shooting, and the video from his body cam shows the criminal was raising a gun towards him. So we have the black people of Milwaukee to thank for showing us what the Black Lives Matter movement is really all about. It's not about police injustice. It's not about institutional racism, whatever that is. It's about the utter inability of blacks to realize that they make their own lives miserable, which makes them resent American society, which makes them hate white people. Finally, it's clear for all to see. No, I take that back. It will never be clear enough for the New York Times or for Hillary Clinton. It started out a typical Milwaukee weekend. 9 cases of black people shooting other black people. 5 fatalities. But on Saturday afternoon, police stopped 2 black men in a car and both ran. One was caught, but the other pointed a gun at a black officer who shot and killed him. The dead man was 23-year-old Sylville Smith, who had a long record that included robbery, carrying a concealed weapon, theft, heroin possession, etc. The weapon he was carrying had 23 rounds in an extended magazine. Here is a recent photo of Smith with what is probably the same gun. It was reported stolen in a burglary last March. The officer who did the shooting was identified very quickly as black, but his name is being withheld because he has suffered threats and, as the police explained, there are concerns for his safety. I bet there are. 200 or 300 blacks quickly gathered and were met by several dozen police. This video was taken before the rioting began.
We do not want justice or peace anymore. We done with that shit. We want blood like y'all want. We want blood. We want the same shit y'all want. Eye for eye. No more peace. That's all that. Ain't no more peace. Ain't no more peace. We cannot cohabit with white people. One of us has to go. Black or white. We all gotta go.
At one point, a few officers got into their cars to leave, and the crowd smashed the windows and sides of a squad car. They set another police car on fire. After night fell, blacks decided to loot a nearby gas station. Here is amateur video coverage. Then they set fire to the gas station. The police did not move in force to stop them because that might have riled them up. For some time, gunfire kept fire trucks from the scene. One fireman had to go to the hospital after he was hit with a brick. Here are police holding their ground while a car burns out of control because fire trucks could not get through. Milwaukee has a system called ShotSpotter that listens for gunfire all around the city. It counted 48 shots that night, all of them fired by rioters. There's another video in which blacks are yelling about attacking whites. "They jumpin' every white person," one person shouts. Later another says, "He white, beat his shit." It's hard to tell from the grainy video if any whites were actually caught and beaten. It was a busy time for the media. As the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel noted, all reporters were chased, one was thrown to the ground and beaten, but they're all out and safe. A television crew from WISN reported, and I quote, "Shots fired right in front of our car. Gunmen run by us while shooting. We're okay. Intersection of Sherman and Burleigh is mayhem, no control." An anchorwoman with the same station said her car was attacked with rocks, so she cleared out. It looks like people wanted to do real damage. Blacks strong-armed another crew and stole their cameras. A black radio talk show host, Keon Jackson Malone, explains why blacks attack reporters. It's about the portrayal of the black community by the white media. Well, that'll teach them to portray them more accurately. Governor Scott Walker put the National Guard on alert. And so, Sunday dawned, and this is what the gas station looked like. Rioters burned other places that night. This used to be an auto parts store. And here is a branch of Harris Bank. And this was a store that sold beauty products for blacks. The rioters also destroyed a liquor store and a grocery store. On Saturday, there was thoughtful commentary on what had caused the riots.
It's sad because, this will happen because they're not helping the black community. Like, the rich people, they got all this money and they're not trying to give us none.
Venice Williams, a Lutheran youth minister in Milwaukee, agrees. She says, and I quote, "It's about access. It's about access to all of the abundance of life that many white people in this city have that many black people do not. You see, there's all that abundance just sitting there, waiting to be accessed, but white people just aren't letting black people get at it." The dead man's sister, Sherelle Smith, urged the rioters to focus their efforts more productively.
Tell his mama y'all sorry for her loss. Burning down shit ain't gonna help nothing. Y'all burning down shit we need in our community. Take that shit to the suburbs. Burn that shit down. We need our shit. We need our weed. I don't wear it, but we need it.
Black Alderman Khalif Rainey, who represents the area, told a press conference that the black people of Milwaukee were, quote, tired of living under oppression. Then he issued a warning.
But no one can deny the fact that there's problems, racial problems here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that have to be closely, not examined, but rectified. Rectify this immediately, because if you don't, this vision of downtown, all of that, you one day away. You one day away.
I guess the black people of Milwaukee were still tired of living under oppression because the next day, Sunday, was lively too. Blacks threw rocks and pieces of concrete at the police. They damaged 3 squad cars and shot up another police vehicle. They didn't burn down any more businesses, but they burned 1 car and a couple of dumpsters and smashed windows. 7 cops were hurt, which brought the 2-day injury total to 11, several of whom had to be taken to the hospital. Over the 2 days, there were 31 arrests, but I've seen no reports of the police hurting a single person. I think they showed almost superhuman restraint. According to ShotSpotter, rioters fired only 30 rounds on Sunday. However, one hit a white man in the throat, nearly killing him. The police had to use an armored car to get through the mob to reach him and bring him out for treatment. This was too much for freelance journalist Tim Pool, who had been covering the riots. He said he was worried when blacks started shouting, "Fuck white people," and "white people suck," and when he saw blacks punch a reporter and threaten another. But, as he explained in this YouTube video, when he saw the white man with a bullet wound in his neck, he decided, and I quote, "It's become a particularly dangerous racial issue, and I'm going to be leaving Milwaukee." Well, today is Tuesday, and things are back to normal. That is to say, the excuse-making is going full throttle. The problem isn't blacks, you see, it's white folks. Tay Smith, 23 and black, expressed the opinion in the street. People get tired of the oppression. That's what happens. Official Black Milwaukee agrees. Fred Royal, president of the Milwaukee NAACP, says the only solution is to, quote, do something about the income and social conditions. Reggie Moore is director of Milwaukee's Office of Violence Prevention. He asks, what are the systemic issues that need to be addressed around poverty, racism, segregation, and inequity to reduce the likelihood of this happening again? Haven't we heard this before? Haven't we been hearing it nonstop for about 60 years? Maybe the only person who seems to think that blacks might actually take responsibility for something is Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark, who is himself black. He says the protests have been, quote, hijacked and turned into what he calls a political construct. He also notes that when there are no fathers around, then, quote, sons grow up to be unmanageable misfits that the police have to deal with. Sounds like blaming the victim to me. Heather McDonald of the Manhattan Institute, who has been covering anti-police violence for a long time, came pretty close when she wrote, quote, "The war on cops may be expanding into a broader race war in which only one side fights." Not bad. The fact is, this is a problem the United States can't solve. It's a race problem in a country that thinks there's no such thing as race. Well, here are the facts. Blacks, on average, can't achieve at the same level as whites. They make their own lives miserable, but we, white people, tell them it's our fault. Remember, it's an access problem. We are selfishly barring the way to the goodies. So of course it's he white, beat his shit. Blacks are just looking for a chance to beat our shit. Nothing will change. The Milwaukee Riots shined about as clear a light on the problem as we are likely to get. I think that's why they're already out of the news. But black riots, Muslim terror, they're a small price to pay for diversity. And without diversity, we wouldn't have all that lovely white privilege, now would we? Thanks for watching.